Okay.
Last time we had some latency issues, but let's
What
see.
we'll do is once it comes on, let me know. That way we can all share, and then we'll go into the intro in like a minute while we're just sitting here sharing it.
Take a deep breath, Daniel. It's gonna be okay.
Shut up, Jeremy. Stop paying so much attention to me.
All right, we got a stream on YouTube and we got the stream on Facebook. Go live right now.
If you think it's just what Stormy Daniels did in front of people on camera, it makes this a lot easier.
What does that mean?
Did we start?
We did.
I think we started, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Great way to start the show. Let's start referencing.
I tagged everyone in it, so everyone should have gotten notified.
Yeah.
I think I just had one come through. I got nothing yet, but
Watch in app.
there you are.
Watch in app.
What is that?
I have no idea. Maybe it means open Facebook and watch it in there.
My.
The arena's filling up. Come
There
on
we
in,
go.
everybody. Get in here.
Right now,
I
it
see
looks like
some spots back in section G and H. There's some open areas back there. Fill it up. We all have the beer guy come around. All right, let's see. I gotta share this on my page too.
Same.
the
I think I did. I'm not sure yet. I'm about to find out.
did.
Yep, there we are.
In front of people on camera.
Oh yeah, there's a little delay going on there too. Huh?
Yeah, I just heard it.
Oh yeah, there's a hefty delay on Facebook.
Okay.
Oh, is that what y'all were hearing mine? Sorry.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that was
Not
me
very
because I
professional.
can't figure it out. It won't. Sorry. Cut wasn't very professional saying that.
Your page. All right, so Cut, who's doing the intro?
Cut.
Cut's got the hair and everything. I mean, he's looking like a
Welcome
game show
to
host.
Degree
Are you a game show
45.
host?
I'm the game show host. We're gonna have a game show tonight, everybody. But first, we're just gonna talk about all the crazy things that are going on in the country. Like how me and Danny are both fixing our hair at the same time, except mine's.
Right. Gotta look good.
We got Danny Farnsworth for our Father's Day special. Happy Father's Day, everyone. And we got Jeremy from Weekly Narrative and Danielle from That's Just My Opinion. And I'm Cut Productions here at Degree 45 Podcast. We got our little Brady Bunch thing going on. What's going on, guys?
Welcome to Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, I know, right? Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Sorry.
Back.
Should I,
We'll
let's see,
light
do we got people in? We're just waiting for some people to come in here. For some reason, I'm just trying to figure out why mine won't share.
No, we're good, man.
Yeah.
We are. The arena's
Yeah,
filling
good.
up.
It's a lot easier.
Everyone's standing around waiting. The lights went
Everyone's
out.
just waiting. Okay,
Yeah.
so
This main show is about to come on.
who's the oldest president in the United States, in the history of the United States of America? Oldest president in the history of the United States of America. Here you got four choices here. A, Donald Trump. B, Ronald Reagan. C, Abraham Lincoln. Or D, none of the above. Just start off with a quick question. Everybody comment underneath. What do you think?
I mean, the oldest to get into the oldest at the
president
time of election.
elected.
You're a bad host.
Is it A, Donald Trump? B, Ronald Reagan? No looking at your phone, Danielle.
I'm
C,
still trying.
Abraham.
She's cheating.
D, none of the above.
Whatever. All right, I'm up.
We're talking about oldest when they got into office.
Oldest.
Erie, who's the
I'll give you a
oldest
hint.
president?
It was a guy.
It's definitely Donald Trump. 100%.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
He's an old bastard. But he looks
Correct
young.
answer is A, Donald Trump. Previously, the oldest elected president was Ronald Reagan, who took the oath of office at age 69 in 1981. Hillary would have been the second oldest if she had won after all the stuff she did to try to win.
But now I'm searching for more knowledge. Was he 72 at time of election?
71. He just turned 72 this weekend.
Okay.
Not that
Just had
I
his
blow
birthday.
him or anything. Huh?
Just had a birthday.
Flag Day.
Yeah, next weekend. Yeah, you got to give.
I think he shares the same birthday as the U.S. Army. Another fun fact. Boom.
Take it.
Welcome, Sarah, in the chat. Becca, Tara, Leah.
Hello, everyone.
The
Welcome.
arena is filling up. Get in here. We're chilling. We're doing a little bit of trivia. We're going to talk about some current events. Drop your questions in chat if you got any, because we'd like to do some viewer interaction today. As many questions as you got, we'll answer them. Yeah, started out hot with a nice question about Donald Trump. See, the problem is with that cut, you're such a fanboy of Donald Trump that I knew the answer was Donald Trump regardless of any other factors. I knew you were going to ask something about Donald Trump, so.
Okay, next question. What is Stormy Daniels' real name? Stormy Daniels' real name. Is it A, Stephanie, B, Jennifer, C, Danielle, or D, Hillary?
Fuck yourself, Cut. And what was A again?
A was Stephanie. B
I
is
think
Jennifer.
that's it.
D is Danielle. D is Hillary. Stephanie?
It's Stephanie. Yes.
Anybody else?
Jennifer.
Stephanie sounds right.
You have to take a drink if you guess it wrong.
Can I take a drink if I guess it right?
Correct. It's A, Stephanie.
Ooh,
All right.
you're so funny.
Of course, there's a Stormy Daniels question.
News this week. Any big news? Anything you guys seen in the news that you just can't get enough of? What's the big topic?
Yeah, it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day.
Father's.
Happy Father's Day, everyone. All the good dads out there.
Any fathers in chat? Any single dads? Sugar daddies? Any kind of dads? Shout out to all the fathers out there. And those of us who are responsible to not be fathers yet.
That is also good. Happy not Father's Day.
I got a couple dogs.
There's been some talk about people they want to abolish Father's Day. Have you seen some of this?
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I have.
What's the
Because you
rationale?
men have everything.
Just a straight attack on men, period. Just a straight attack on men. It seems to be that there's a lot of that out there. Anything that's manly, anything that's, machismo-esque, knock it down and stamp it out, and I assume that's it. We've got male persons now. So apparently it'll be, Other Parents' Day.
Huh, right.
Other parents.
But they were talking about that, like not Father's Day. Isn't that what they were calling it? Not Father's Day was the hashtag. The hashtag.
Yeah, because
No?
they're
Is
upset
that
about
nothing?
the fact that so many parents are single parents now because men don't have any responsibility to be actual fathers, or maybe it's the feminist war on men that's driving them out of the families and encouraging women to have children with welfare. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both.
Is it wrong to send Caitlyn Jenner a Father's Day card?
No, but suddenly I wish I had.
Yeah,
I hate
it'd be good.
I hate
Fan
that
mail.
she still talks as a man. She'll get up there in a dress, and I'm going to say I'll be PC, gets up there in a dress, and she's like, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone. And you're like, whoa, holy shit.
Well,
I gotta think for so I work at a bar out here part time on Saturdays, and I was checking IDs, and a girl, purple hair, tan, dress, comes up, gives me the ID. It says Eric something. I don't remember what the last name was, but it was a guy, the license. I said, can I get a second form of ID? Just a debit card, something else with your name on. Said they didn't have it, and then they end up turning away and saying, so you don't understand, like they got kind of mouthy and said something along the lines is it because I'm transgender? I was like, no, it's because the photo, I have the name and the photo, you don't match the person in the description. It's just like if someone came in here clean shaved and had a giant beard when they come in, or was wearing a wig like I am right now, I would ask them for a second form of ID, something with their name on it, or to take the wig off or whatever. But you got to be careful you say that too. But then they asked what the name of the place was because they were going to give us a Yelp review. I thought that was just kind of crazy. That's how sensitive this whole. All I did was say, "Can I get a second form of ID?" I would have said it to anybody who I didn't think was. But then when I see it from a transgender person, man, they cry victim.
it's a reasonable request, second form of ID.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
I
that's
haven't asked for a second form of ID.
Huh?
I didn't have one at the time.
You're too young. So that's an interesting predicament, though. It's like when you're in that situation, our bar's going to cave in, and they're just going to be like, hey, well, just let him in anyway. Like, did you talk to your manager or anything about that? Like the bar
I can only
owner?
imagine seeing what happened with that is kind of like why places like Starbucks just having this sensitivity training. You got to make sure you just dot your I's and cross your T's no matter who you talk to. It could be a guy that could be offended, and he's a straight white guy nowadays who could probably be like the biggest soy boy ever. You never know with these people that are walking in. It's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just everyone plays victim. I think there's a big victim mentality in my generation, unfortunately.
Absolutely. That's what's out there. I'm too quick to answer and too much of a smart ass. As soon as he asked me, what's the name of your establishment? I said, ChickfilA. I jumped right on it.
That Chick-fil-A story is great.
Oh, God.
What was that, the Twitter CEO that apologized for eating at Chick-fil-A?
Oh, my God. I didn't see that. I just remember the whole deal about they attacked the guy for being a Christian, I don't quite understand why that is, but they did.
Well, any chance they can get to attack Chick-fil-A just because they had open Christian founders, with principles on Christianity, then they're going to go for it, of course. But the owner, the CEO of Twitter, he tweeted a picture of him with a receipt from Chick-fil-A because he used his new app, Cash App or something like that, to get money back on his receipt or get a discount or something like that. So he was taking a picture of the discount on his receipt. Just the fact that it was a Chick-fil-A receipt was enough for him to have all this outcry and this outrage all over Twitter, and the recycled anti-Christian narratives that come up every now and again when Chick-fil-A hits the news.
Insanity. But I kind of look at a lot of that stuff. If that's the best that the liberal movement has, that they have to attack somebody who ate at a Chick-fil-A, okay, good. Then the rest of everything must be going fine. If that's the best you've got, the best you've got is the owner of a company ate somewhere else where somebody believes differently. Right on. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, it's funny because I was never really a big fan of Jack from Twitter, because obviously Twitter makes a lot of terrible decisions and they've done a lot of censorship and whatnot. But just the fact that he would do that, he probably didn't think about the ramifications in his head, what was going to happen. The fact that Chick-fil-A was on the receipt, but the fact that he did that kind of made me like him a little bit more. I don't know. Just the fact that he's got that. It was a little bit of contrarianist against the narrative, the Christian anti-Christian narrative. I liked it. It made me like the guy a little bit more. That's all.
That he eats there, or that he apologized for it?
That he eats there, and then he wasn't afraid to take a
He
picture.
probably shops at Hobby Lobby too. Hobby Lobby's another one that were in the news. I remember years ago for not allowing people to buy birth control with their health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Wasn't he like a Muslim owner or something?
No, they're Christians. They're closed on Sundays. They're just like birth control. Like is like it's like. I think it's like I guess if there was a radical Christian in modern day times, it'd be the owners of Hobby Lobby. But they're cool though. I shop there and get my man cave stuff, even though I don't really have a man cave. I don't know why I'm.
Is that what you're in right now?
Huh?
Is that what you're in right now? Is that your man cave?
It's kind of. It's more like a den, like a man den.
What about the cake situation? Masterpiece Cakeshop and the Supreme Court decision.
That's awesome. I love their decision. I think that is absolutely awesome. And that protects everybody. If I go to a Muslim bakery and ask them to put Jesus loves you and a couple of slices of bacon across the top of the cake that I'm having, they should be able to tell me to go fuck myself and get it somewhere else. That's their right. Whatever happened to the sign that said, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to that? It just disappeared, apparently. But apparently the Supreme Court backed it up, so that's awesome. I think it's great.
The victimhood Olympics is what happened.
Those were the Colorado guys, right? It was the Colorado business. That wasn't but the Oregon one, they won. Didn't they win that case in Oregon, but it didn't go to Supreme Court, did it not?
I don't know about the Oregon one.
Yeah, they lost. It was like $250,000 or something like that.
I'm not sure what happened with that one. I was looking at the Colorado one.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about is when they told the cake baker he doesn't have to. and he's not liable. And that's awesome. Come on, it's freedom of religion. It's right there in the first, So.
Yeah.
Well, the funniest part.
I saw.
The funniest part about that whole thing, two things really. Number one is those gay couple that was going looking for the cakes. They were hunting for a situation where they were going to be refused. Number one, so they were looking to be victimized, explicitly looking to be victimized. Number two, the cake guy said, "You can buy anything else you want in the store. I'm just not going to make a custom one for you. You can buy this cake right here. I'll sell you this cake. Happy, I'm happy. You're happy. I'm just not going to make one custom for you because my personal beliefs go against that, and I don't want to be part of the ceremony for that." And then they got all upset about it. And then 2 years later, they're getting stomped in Supreme Court.
There's a T-shirt guy going through the same thing right now, who is a Christian-based T-shirt company. He's going through the same thing right now, and he's refused to make several T-shirts for different reasons. He even said if somebody wanted for a Christian cookout, picnic, whatever, they wanted him to do a picture of Jesus riding a chicken for their barbecue. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But it was for a Christian church barbecue. And he refused to do it just because he didn't want to put Jesus on a chicken,
Right.
So, yeah, I just saw that in the news the other day as well.
Are they suing him? Are they upset about it?
I don't think they can sue him now. I think it's going to fall into the same statute of this, the Supreme Court ruling on you're allowed to refuse service under religious beliefs,
Yeah.
I saw it in the news, and I think somebody tried to sue him possibly. I really didn't follow it up past that. But I just caught the little clip where they were talking about it, and he came out and talked about it a little bit and said, hey, look, I've refused several people because of my beliefs. So that's just the way it is.
It's not very Christian to sue somebody for not making you a cake.
Yeah, go figure, go figure. But, I believe it was, Mark Twain that said if Jesus Christ were here today, he would not be your so-called Christian.
Right.
So, I kind of got a kick out of that. But.
Well, I guess, I think it's because you get a bad name. I go to church and they call it Lululemon Christian is one of the terms he used, and he called it a Lululemon because if you know what Lululemon is, they look good, they smell good, they appear to be good, but it's just overpriced yoga pants. It's just bullshit. It's just a front that some Christians put on I go to church on the weekend and I'm an asshole all week long type thing, and I'm Christian, but I'm hypocrites.
It's like a fashion thing. They do it for fashion.
So that's probably obviously kind of, I'm assuming what Mark Twain is probably referring to in that sense.
Yeah. Well,
how
I think
people just use it as like a shield, I don't know.
I believe the story goes he was coming out of someplace and a guy was sidewalk preaching on a soapbox, so to speak, and recognized him and told him, Mark Twain, you're going to hell. Blah, blah, and you need Jesus. And they turned and told him, hey, if Jesus was here today, he wouldn't be your so-called Christian. Meaning that he was accepting, not, condemning to people, which I got to tell you something real quick. I have no clue what Lululemon is, but in the last 24 hours, I've heard about it twice. So that's strange.
I guarantee there's one person on this show who knows a lot about it.
Go for Lululemon.
There you go.
Do they have hair products?
Speaking of hair products, somebody wants to know what you use on your hair, Danny, because it's so silky smooth.
Water and soap, mostly. Water and soap, yeah. It's maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe I'm born with it. I don't know.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
So yeah, a lot of anti-religious stuff, but you notice it's not anti-certain religions. It's anti-one religion in particular. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah,
we talked about this last week, Jeremy, too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely got some truth to it too. There's certain things you can do and get away with, and I mean, I do see it just like I said earlier, the Lululemon Christian thing. Like Bill O'Reilly's kind of a good example of that. He had the Atheists of America come on his show and talking about what they're doing to go against Christianity. And Bill O'Reilly's getting mad about it, and they're going back and forth. But Bill O'Reilly's also a drunk guy who got his kids taken away from him and fired from Fox for sexual harassment. So,
me too.
Kind of that.
Hashtag me too.
I'm reading one of his books right now talking about seeing Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah, I'm
O'Reilly
reading
tells
one of
it
his
to you.
books.
You can tell.
Yeah, I'm reading
books are
Killing the
good, I
Rising
guess.
Sun.
Yeah, that's supposed to be good. I was reading Killing Reagan, but yeah, I didn't.
Killing
I
Kennedy's
never
good too.
watched him. I never watched him. You know, not be like just not be a dick. Remember for the days when they were going live and he's just screaming at the entire. I don't know.
Whoever, well, the whole thing with Bill O'Reilly was whoever, if you go on his show, you can't win with facts or logic or arguments. You know, it's whoever yells loudest. That's who wins on Bill O'Reilly's show. It basically turns into a shouting match every time.
The no spin zone.
Oh yeah.
The Rising Sun.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is Fox has gone up quite a bit as far as their ratings and everything. They said Hannity beats The Bachelorette, which is amazing considering it's 2018. More people watch
Tucker had
Hannity
the
on
highest
Monday night
ratings.
than The Bachelorette.
I can't
Who?
stand Hannity though.
Hannity, I didn't at one time. I couldn't stand it, but now I kind of warmed up to him. Maybe it's because he's just such a dick that it's kind of funny to me now.
He's
Like,
a dick, and he's
wanna
Trump's cheerleader. That's basically all he does.
Yeah.
He had a good show when he
Oh,
was doing the Hannity and Combs thing because they had like a balance, and Combs would sometimes smack down Hannity, and Hannity would sometimes smack down Combs. Now it's just like unabashed. I love Trump. I'm gonna go on for an hour and defend everything he does, and
Yeah.
cheerlead for him. It gets a little excessive, but you know you can't avoid having somebody like that on both sides. If you want something a little more moderate, you can go with like a Tucker Carlson, something like that. He's not going to be always pro
Rachel
Trump.
Maddow.
Can't stand him either.
Rachel Maddow is like the conspiracy theorist
Or
now
him.
on the left.
He's the Hannity of the left.
Did you hear what she was saying about North Korea? And
No.
how because North Korea shares like some border or they're close to Russia, that Russia is somehow colluding with North Korea, or they're colluding. They're using North Korea is being used by the Russians to like attack us essentially, and this whole thing is like
The North Koreans are the Russian bots.
Are they like building
Essentially.
their nuclear weapons together? I've read something about that.
there's something
somewhere.
ominous
They're
going on.
trying
Nobody,
to
you know,
efforts to
Gotta be.
enhance their programs.
yeah.
We're gonna have a 4-year investigation with 7 different special counsels, and in 2036 they'll have answers.
You know what's crazy? They never talk about the good stuff that he does. Like they talk, the Nobel Peace Prize. We know doesn't really matter at all. Look at Barack Obama for getting it, and supposedly there's talks of Trump and there's talks of Kim Jong-un getting the Nobel Peace Prize as well. But they don't look at the stuff like a few weeks ago when he signed a bill for them to work with people who are deathly ill to be able to try any kind of treatments that aren't FDA approved.
Yeah, the right
in order
to try.
Right to try. If that was Obama that did that or a Democrat that did that, it would have been glorified. They would have been talking about it how it was the best thing ever. Trump did it. It was like a flash in the pan.
Yeah,
There's a lot of talk that opens up the door for federal legalization or at least decriminalization of marijuana. He didn't actually say marijuana, but I think that was really the point of the whole thing, to kind of open up that narrative. I personally think for the midterms, that can be a huge piece of the midterms. Whoever comes out and starts backing medical marijuana, or even the next presidential election, you will have people jump aisle fast to smoke their doobie legally.
Isn't that sad that that's what it's going to take?
It is.
I mean, I'm all for it, but it's sad that that's going to be the thing that's going to get people to come and get off the couch, stop eating Doritos, and go vote.
As he takes a hit.
That's a cigarette. That's just not probably works for me. But we won't. Anyway.
Anyways.
Joe, you were saying.
What about they're testing? You guys hear about this? They're testing MDMA and like psilocybin mushrooms and LSD and stuff. They're becoming more open to testing that stuff for psychiatric, healing people with the use of psychiatric help on the side. But they're combining these new, once illegal and once very highly classified drugs to help people now. You guys heard about that at all?
I think it's great.
I haven't read much about it.
No, I haven't heard much about it, but I would just say why not? Not everything else that they're doing. Pharmaceutical, big pharma kills enough people that kind of just
for me
even that out.
If I'm sick, I would much rather take something that grows out of the ground than something that was created in a laboratory and has a crazy track record of creating dependence and all those other problems. Like, you know, these psychedelics they're not habit forming at all. They're not addictive. They're actually, when you do them, most people don't want to do them again because they're so intense, but they create such a crazy, profound spiritual experience for people that they actually have documented profound, long-lasting effects. I read a book recently, I just finished it. It's called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. If anyone's interested in that, I'd highly recommend that book. This guy was just on Joe Rogan talking about this kind of stuff, but it's kind of like the leading edge of where the drug legalization stuff is going to go and what you can actually get beneficially out of these psychoactive components that are long thought to be illegal. Just a little side note for anyone who's interested.
I stand on the libertarian side of that I don't think any of the drugs should be illegal. There's more people, more lives are destroyed from being arrested and prosecuted from drugs than I think are actually destroyed from using drugs. There's more people in prison for selling, buying, having, using, and tear up their jobs, their family, everything just gets ripped apart versus somebody who's on dope, who slowly fucks up their life. I don't know. This is America. You should be able to choose to do whatever you want to do. That's real freedom, you know? I don't see it. I know a lot of people who disagree with that, but I don't see any reason for any of it to be illegal.
It's funny, I think the FDA...
Yeah, well, yeah, because then they can sell you their drugs, which are completely legal.
They sell you theirs. That's what they do. It's like, okay, so you can eat that McDonald's shit, which has stuff in it that's horrible for you and does show that it is addictive. And trust me, I'm well aware of it. I'm addicted to McDonald's, and and I can't drive by at 3 a.m. and they're the only place open. What do you do? And so yeah, and then they have diabetes commercials through FDA, and then they have the may cause headache, may cause suicidal thoughts, may cause this, and this. However, your headache will go away, or you won't cough in the middle of the night anymore from acid indigestion or some stupid shit. I don't know, but it just gets. You see these drugs that are approved and they're on TV all the time, and then weed was a felony right here in Nevada, actually about 7 years ago. It was a felony. And now it's legal here, so it's just kind of crazy. There's people that are in prison right now in Nevada for marijuana.
I'm pretty sure if you get caught with a certain amount here, I don't know what the exact amount is, but it's a felony.
South Carolina.
We're never gonna get it legalized.
I thought the same thing here in Arizona. It was bad in Arizona. I mean, if you had a half a doobie stuck into a cigarette cellophane put in your pack, they hit you for 2 felonies. One for the marijuana, and then the cellophane that it was in is paraphernalia. So literally they would charge you with 2 felonies knowing you would plea bargain 1 out and still get stuck with one.
I'd probably get you with 3, 1 for intent to distribute.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No,
and then we wonder why we have an issue with mass incarceration.
Well, hopefully that's going to be on the downtrot as well. I think there's a lot of that. That whole private prisons, all of that. And I think hopefully they're going to start reining that in. We'll see. I think that'll do a lot for a lot of communities.
Well, one thing that people don't realize is, number one, there's I don't know if anyone's heard these stories of these fentanyl coming over the borders, like illegal Mexicans getting caught with fentanyl. They get caught with 30 pounds of fentanyl. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of fentanyl and exactly how powerful that is, but 30 pounds of fentanyl, which is a package probably about, this big. You could carry it, under your arm. It's basically enough to kill an entire state of people, millions of people. It's so potent. One little grain of fentanyl is enough to overdose and kill you. And this is
they say it's terrible. They say it's a terrible drug.
A lot of heroin is laced with it now because it's so potent and helps get them more bang for their buck. But people are overdosing because they don't realize it's laced, and this is part of why the opioid epidemic is so deadly right now, because so much stuff is laced coming across the border. This heroin. Let's just pose a hypothetical and say that, like other countries who have done this, heroin became legal, and you could go to a clinic who would distribute legal heroin to you in regulated doses at regulated purities, while also having you on a plan to get on, the detox drug or basically supervise you as you do it so that you're not going to kill yourself and you're doing it in a regulated, safe situation. Some countries have done this, and it really reduces the death rate, number one. Number two, it kills the business for the illegal immigrants who are bringing this over, or the gang members who are bringing it over, because they don't have, their competition is way too, someone can just walk into a clinic and get it for free. They can't sell it on the street because you can do it without fear of repercussions, being thrown in jail, and you're doing it in a safer environment too. So their business would die, essentially. Like if someone just started selling free hamburgers across the street from McDonald's that were way better than McDonald's, how long do you think McDonald's is going to stay in business?
Right. I think Portugal did that, legalized all drugs, and their death rate is
Lisbon.
down.
Yeah, it was Lisbon, Portugal.
Right.
Was it Lisbon?
It was
Yeah,
Lisbon,
so
yeah, 'cause they talked to the mayor there, and they had an American journalist over there interviewing him, and she was like, so what you do is you have taxpayers pay for individuals to try to help these people, try to send them to help if they see them doing heroin in the streets and everything. That's what you offer these people, is you offer them help.
Mm-hmm.
And you think that's good for taxpayers to want to do that. And he goes, well, it's better than what you do in America to have taxpayers pay to incarcerate them, throw them in prison, and not get them the help they need. And I thought that was a good answer. I mean, I do think there's probably druggies that no matter how much you try to help them, they're not going to be helped at all. But I also don't want to, I don't know, as far as the drug war and everything like that, it's kind of, again, if you're not hurting if you're hurting yourself, then I don't know, shouldn't be my problem. I know that sounds cold. But it shouldn't be.
No, you're right though. That kind of is what brings me around to the whole social health care aspect of it. I went home when I was out. I'd go out and drink until 10, 11 o'clock at night, go home, get up and go to work the next morning. The guys who would stay out and party till 2, 3 a.m., fuck their bodies all up, party till they were 40 years old, and now that their liver's failing, their body's torn apart, they've been doing drugs their whole life, didn't have a real job because they were too high to do it. Now suddenly, I've got to pay for the health care for the body that they screwed up on dope. That was my biggest problem with universal health care. Wait, I've been restrained, I've been responsible, I've taken care of myself, I've had a good job so that I can have things like health care. And boom, just like that, a guy who's been a doper his whole life is dying from liver failure. I got to pay for a new liver for the guy because he's got no job and a dead liver. That's ridiculous.
Or somebody eats a Tide Pod and you got to pay for little Timmy's stomach pump and his hospital stay.
Little Timmy. It's always little Timmy.
Timmy's a retard, man.
It's never like John or Bob.
Little Bob. It doesn't
It's
sound
always
right.
little Timmy.
Johnny.
I want another question.
Huh?
Oh,
Danielle's got
trivia.
a question. Oh, she wants a question.
You have one? Who has the trivia question?
Okay, cut. I thought you were the host of this.
Oh, I have one. Okay, here we go. What event in U.S. history involved 2 planes taking down 3 buildings? Is it A, 9/11,
They're all A.
Pearl Harbor,
They're all A.
They've all been A.
D, none of the above?
Wait, did you say C, Titanic?
Cut. Letter.
I couldn't think of other stuff. I was like,
D-Day.
rushing to come on and type stuff, and I was gonna be like the Black Plague. It wasn't even fucking planes.
I see what this is
I don't
now.
even think the wheel was invented yet.
You're 9/11 truther? Is this a truther stream now?
Uh-oh.
No, that was just a fact. That was just a fact. That was just the truth. It's not a 9/11 truth.
Just a
Just the
general
truth.
fact. Just pulled randomly out of there.
During World War II, which of these peoples had the most casualties? A, Jews. B, Chinese. C, Germans. D, Japanese.
I want to say D.
Depending on whose numbers you're looking at now, doesn't it?
Or A.
Well,
Shit.
we're on a trend of A's.
B,
Yeah, like the
Chinese.
Japanese. The
Really?
Japanese,
Number of
like,
Chinese killed by the
Middle
Japanese in World War II is greater than the number of Jews
I was gonna
killed.
say.
Approximately 11 million Chinese were killed, according to recent studies.
is
No
the
kidding.
that's in my Bill O'Reilly book right
I
now.
was
It
gonna say,
talks
Danielle,
about.
you should have got that. You're reading about that right now.
I am reading about that. They would
One
do
square
horrible
mile
things to Chinese.
in the country of China consists of 11 million Chinese people. So 1 square mile was wiped out in No, that's just making that shit up. But that's true, though. I guarantee in 1 square mile of China, there probably is 11 million Chinese people.
In the
Parts
right,
of it.
in Hong Kong or Beijing, probably. I don't even think Hong Kong's actually China, though. It's like a different state.
Yeah, I'm actually reading the gruesome details about what they did to the Chinese during World War II, and it's pretty disturbing and horrible.
Oh, they were.
So,
I think the Japanese were more disgusting than the Nazis were, if you ask me.
and it was the Japanese who were like killing the Chinese mainly, just to clarify. But yeah, the Japanese were. I would, like you said, I agree with you, Jeremy. We all talk about Hitler. What about Hirohito? Or he's just like the Japanese were not only not afraid to die, but it was an honorable way to go, or like it was honorable to kill yourself, self-sacrifice. They would do suicide bombs at night, or suicide bombing at night, and every different airbase feared it that was not allied with them. I mean, these people were just nuts. I mean, we remember Auschwitz more than we remember this, but this book details it a lot. Specifically.
Well, and then you got the Clintons.
World War II.
And then you got the Clintons. Right? That's terrible. Hey, you're reading that book now. Didn't the Japanese firebomb cities in China? I mean, like literally light them on fire so that the cities would burn and just burn up the whole population, the citizens, the army, the infrastructure, everything.
I don't know. I can tell you like scary other details. I don't know. I don't want to say yes to that and be wrong, but I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they would cut off men's appendages and put them in other men's mouths while everyone was alive.
Well, today, who knows? That
leads me to my
make a
next
law.
question. No, I'm just kidding.
Which brings me to my next question.
Just ruined my next question.
No, they definitely burned cities down or
What
burned
appendage?
towns down.
Yeah,
Was
I
off the
thought
count-
I thought I saw something about firebombing like that. Where literally, because all the buildings were, paper walls and so on, where they just light them up and let it all burn.
Yeah. Oh, they burned villages full of people. Yeah.
Genocide.
Europe cut.
In 2015, what weapon was used most for murder, homicide? A, handguns. B, assault rifles. C, knives. D, hands.
Hands.
Handguns.
Guns.
D.
According to FBI statistics, 6,447 people by handguns.
Oh, by handguns.
Number 2 being knives at 1,544. Rifle, however, 252.
So
Do they have
hands,
And a lot of them were from hunting accidents.
Yeah.
hands got more than rifles, though, right?
Which I can tell you, I almost got shot. I was drinking, believe it or not.
And playing with guns. Always a good combo.
I was like 12 or 13. It was the first day of hunting season. I had no clue. And I got this bottle of Captain Morgan's that I took out of my dad's cabinet, brought it back into the woods in upstate New York. We were just drinking back there. We had this little foxhole and a fort, all the stuff you kids used to do before iPads. And I had this, and we heard a gunshot go off. We heard like the tree. We saw like leaves fall. And we just sprinted out of there through barbed wire fences and everything. I'm sure well, the good thing was they didn't shoot again. Maybe they realized they fucked up. But, man, that scared the shit out of me. Especially the barbed wire. The barbed wire, that sucks. You ever run through barbed wire before?
Oh, my God.
No, but I've ran through a field of cholla cactus. You know what cholla cactus is.
All right,
And that's not fun.
Wow.
Other war crimes report, and this is talking about Japanese and Chinese, sorry.
I should Google this.
What the Japanese did to the children. Soldiers gouged their eyes from their skulls, threw their innocent kids against walls until their bodies broke apart. Annoyed by the children's screams, some Japanese soldiers murdered them by swinging their heads against trees.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's Japanese for you. And
Yeah.
that's why they don't have a military anymore.
There is that. There is that. So, what do you guys think about this whole child imprisonment thing that they're blowing up right now? The whole, Trump separating families and putting the kids in jail, and
It's
What are your
very
guys' thoughts
simple.
on that?
It's very,
Where
very.
they show them like in a cage. They show like a kid in a cage.
Yeah, the picture they're talking about is from 2014. That
You know, it
photograph
reminds me of a Sam Kinison skit. You used to watch Sam Kinison stand up? It reminds me of a skit that he did when he talked about these commercials that would come on, these infomercials in the middle of the night of these starving kids in Africa. And he goes, you'd be watching them and you'd see these starving kids. And he goes, Sam Kinison goes, you think maybe the producer or the cameraman give the kid a fucking sandwich, you know, while they're out there. But
Sally's Brothers.
Yeah. He goes, don't feed him yet. And he goes, you know how we fix this? He goes, what we do is we get a U-Haul truck. And he goes, yeah. And we drive out there, and we put them all in the truck and get them out of there because you can't grow food in fucking sand. And he pull up the sand. And he drop it on the ground. You know what this is going to be in 200 years from now? Sand. So, but yeah, that's true. They just show they show a clip of something that grabs people's emotions, and then they turn it into Trump being a monster. However, they did have Trump on camera say to NBC, I don't know who it was on NBC, but Trump was saying, do you see how Kim Jong-un, his people respond to him? They stand up in attention and they listen to him. He goes, I wish people would do that for me. And I heard that, and I was I don't know if it was doctored or if he was joking around because they cut it so much. But I mean, it's definitely an egotistical thing to say, pretty kind of narcissistic thing to say if he was being serious. I don't know if he was being serious or not.
That's just one of those things that he said without thinking, you know.
Which we all do.
I didn't look into it any deeper than the amount of respect that needs to be shown the president. When the president of the United States is speaking, people should sit up and listen to what he has to say and show him some respect. He's the president of the United States. Right. By all means, he is the most powerful entity on this planet, or the most powerful puppet entity on this planet, whatever you want to say. But yeah, when that man speaks, people should shut up, sit up, and listen to what he has to say, whether they like him personally or not. He's still
it's no different than being a college student. When the professor walked into the class, everyone shut up, you did your stuff, or you're probably just going to get fucking booted right out of college, even though you're paying for it. You know, you don't fuck around. And if the college professor can get that kind of respect, especially college professors nowadays, then so should the president.
I think so.
The whole kids in a cage thing, it's really simple, and I don't know if you guys have heard it broken down this way, but I'm going to break it down for you right here. This is what the kid in the cage thing is all about. People have been so fed up with seeing Trump succeed, especially after this North Korea thing, because this was a huge success for Trump. All right, there's no way to deny it. You can try and spin it. Some media outlets have tried to spin it, but they're really upset. They're really emotional over the fact that Trump is succeeding now, and they don't have any way to get at him for it. So this thing comes up about the kids in the cages, because notice the timing. This became a story immediately after North Korea, the North Korean success and the summit, right? So everyone's upset now about the kids in the cages because they have all this anger and this rage built up that they couldn't release towards Trump, and now this is the thing that, like Cut said, that they're kind of aiming all their emotions at, and the fact that this has been happening since 2014 or earlier. They don't care about those facts. Danny, you were talking earlier about why people are just ignoring facts and they just don't live in reality anymore. They don't realize that this was going on for years and years and years during the Obama administration. And the second thing that they don't the second part of this is, they say, notice what they say is, well, what about these kids in the cages? Isn't Trump the worst? It's a complaint, but it's only really half of a complaint, because the other half of the complaint that's missing is your suggestion for what we need to do better, because everyone agrees. Everyone on the planet agrees that putting kids in cages is a bad thing. These people are going around thinking, because they're so emotionally, they're seeing red, they're thinking that, the Republicans, they think it's a good thing that kids are in cages. No. Everybody agrees that kids in cages is a bad thing. But you can't offer any other suggestions as to what we should do with those kids, or look at the situation from an objective standpoint, because whose fault is it really that those kids are in cages? Those parents. It's the kids' parents' fault that they drug their kids across the border, and now those kids are in cages because, okay, what's your suggestion? How should we do it differently? Should we just let them come across? Should we both put them both in the same cage? Should we make them some kind of dormitories? What do we do? right? So there's a complaint without a suggestion for any changes, and then there's the pent-up anger and rage that they have from seeing Trump's success that they're focusing on this. This is why it's such a big story.
Yeah, well, you know, if you stop and ask yourself, what do we do with the American children if both parents go to jail? What happens to the American children? They, you know, of course, they try to put them into foster care or so on and so on. But in a lot of cases, there are no foster homes for kids. There are no places to put them. There is no placement. So what they end up doing is putting them in juvenile hall, which is essentially the same thing. They're locking up these American kids in jail.
Yeah.
So I really fail to see the difference in that. Like you say, it's just something to throw some more hate with. It's another target to go, don't look at the good, look at how big of a dick this guy is, and they throw it over there.
You need
just my thoughts toward it.
You need a distraction from all the good news for Trump, right? Because, you know, all this good stuff coming about Trump, they can't stand it, so they look for anything. This has literally been going on for years. They pull up I don't even know how the story started. I need to look into it because they... You know, if it's just someone who posted a picture from 3 years ago, that sparked this whole now debate that we're talking about kids in cages, and people want to call them internment camps and all that, internment camps and whatnot. You know, it's like it's literally manufactured out of thin air.
Right. Well, and a lot of it comes down to the whole, you know, false terminology that we're giving these people. For some reason, we want to call them undocumented workers. They're not undocumented workers. They're illegal aliens. An undocumented worker is when I hire my brother-in-law to come over to my house and do some drywall, and we don't tell Uncle Sam about it. I just give him some money. He fixes my drywall and takes the money home. That's an undocumented worker. You know, not some guy that snuck across our border with a handful of kids and his wife and is now in jail, and they don't know what to do with their kids because there's not enough Spanish-speaking foster families out there.
Right.
But, you know, that goes back to the whole thing about forcing us to have to ignore the fact of what's going on. You know, that we're not allowed really to call them illegal aliens anymore. They're undocumented workers.
How does, with undocumented or illegal, are they allowed in Arizona or in California or in South Carolina? I'm in Nevada, so we're all in 4 different states. I guess, tell me if any of your states are they allowed to drive on the highways? If you're undocumented, can you drive?
Well, you can.
But legally, can you? Legally?
I don't think so. We're not a sanctuary city, a sanctuary state. We had probably the toughest sheriff in the country. Joe Arpaio was the sheriff here in Arizona, and he actually went under federal investigation during the first Hillary campaign for, I guess, racially profiling these people who were driving around, right? Trying, you know, by asking them for ID. Do you have ID? He was racially profiling. I mean, federal investigation. Trump, in fact, I think just pardoned him from all that. It was probably one of the first pardons, so a year ago.
Yeah, that did just happen.
So what about South Carolina? Are they allowed to drive out there at all? Do you know? So the reason why I'm asking because here they have what's called a driver's authorization card in Nevada. I think California has it.
That's funny shit.
And what it's called is Nevada residents who cannot meet the proof of identity requirements for a driver's license or an ID card may be able to obtain a driver authorization card. These cards authorize the holder to drive a motor vehicle on Nevada public streets and highways. So if you can't prove your identity, they're going to give you a license to drive. We don't know if that's sir. We can't. We have nothing. But which means we can't do an FBI background check on you. Which means we have nothing to go off of. Here's your ID. Smile for the camera.
Well, I wonder if that's federally recognized from state to state once they have that. Like my Arizona driver's license is just as good in Nevada as it is Maryland or South Carolina. So I wonder if that driver's authorization.
At the end it says to drive motor vehicle on Nevada public streets and highways.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say South Carolina is probably not going for that.
No, I couldn't imagine we would either.
I'm in California, so I'm pretty sure you don't even have to follow the speed limit if you're illegal. Your speed limit is like twice the normal speed limit. You never get pulled over, and if you do, then they like change your tire for free and let you go.
They're like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't know until we came up to the window. You're good."
Sorry.
Good.
Oh, lo siento.
Lo siento. Yeah, just scream racism. Scream racism. That'll fix it for you. Yeah.
It seems to be the thing.
It does.
The ongoing thing. Oh, did you ask me if I had another question?
Yes, I love these questions.
Which president in the history of the United States
Trump.
had the most African Americans within his White House staff? Is it A, Donald Trump, B, Barack Obama, C, George W. Bush, D, George H.W. Bush?
Not Trump. I'd go for Obama or Bush. Little Bush.
Little Bush, yeah.
Little Bush.
Little Bush?
W,
No
yes.
kidding. No kidding. I did not know that.
The guy that he was called a racist too.
Was he called a racist? I was about to ask. I don't remember that.
He was called a monkey too. He was compared to a monkey, just like Valerie Jarrett was, but nothing happened because he's George Bush and Republican or semi-Republican, or just like John McCain, which is not Republican at all. But yeah, I don't know. It's I thought that was an interesting fact though, that W had the most black people on his White House staff. I thought that one was pretty cool considering.
Baby Bush.
Yep.
What about most women in senior positions in the White House?
Donald
Yeah,
Trump.
that's Trump.
That would be Donald John Trump, I believe.
That's correct.
So what happens? What happens in 2020 or 2024 if a Democrat gets elected? Let's just jump to that real quick.
Only Canada, like they all threatened to. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. A really deep hole, and we all get into it.
He left Canada hanging and then talked about tariffs and then ran to North Korea to hang out with his friend Kim Jong-un. That's what they talked about from the G7 summit and him going to North Korea for the Singapore meeting, which I thought was just kind of crazy. That
whole tariffs thing they're blowing out, I think it's awesome that he's doing it, because really I think what he's heading toward is no tariffs, actual free trade, because that doesn't do anything for the companies. It doesn't do anything for the public. The only people that get money from tariffs are the government. That's where the money goes. So the Chinese government's getting paid. The Canadian government's getting paid. And they're saying, oh, it's going to be bad for business. Well, it's going to be great for the government, but everybody else gets screwed. So if we knock the tariffs down to nothing, actual free trade, that's what I think. He's a businessman, and I think that's what he's really pushing for is, okay, you guys want to charge us? I'll charge you. Until they go, wait, stop. Okay, well, you stop too. I think that's where we're heading with the tariff thing, since you mentioned that. And I sure hope that's where we're headed with it, or at least to back that off so our GDP levels out. We can move that much product without having to pay their government the stuff. That's where it's getting stopped at. But
right, that's true. Like, you got to always look at it, whether we go to war or if it's a trade war, or if it's an actual war or drug war. Where's the money going? Follow the money, you get all the answers in a sense. And it's the government. The government kind of, the rules, and he talked about cutting regulations. You saw when he cut that ribbon, when he had all the books of all the different taxes and all the regulations for building and everything like that. And then he shortened it down for companies to not have to do it, to small business owners not have to go through all these leaps and bounds to please the government and make sure the government gets their fair share, So, but
that's
I don't know.
Funny. You said government. You said government and fair share in the same sentence.
Yeah, I know.
that was kind of funny. I'm sorry. It's like freezer burn or jumbo shrimp.
Jumbo shrimp.
Common sense gun reform. Wow, that's awesome. No,
yeah, I like the
up
common
a little
sense.
bit.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Back up a little bit to your, what are we going to do if or when? Because a Democrat will take office again. That's bound to happen. And honestly, what I hope once we get there is that there are enough right-leaning Supreme Court justices, because that really seems to be where everything ends up. We have our three branches of government, but it's got to get by the Supreme Court no matter what it is. It's all got to get through there. And if we have 4, 5, 6 seats over there to really hold the majority, I think that's really what's gonna keep our country from dipping into a socialist country. If Trump can get enough right-leaning Supreme Court justices in there.
Did we have a right-wing majority Supreme Court when Obamacare was like kind of passed or allowed? What was I know the ruling was that they thought it was constitutional, which is completely bullshit, but what were we favoring, Democrats or Republicans?
I think we were 5-4 on the Democratic side at the time, but
that makes
one or
sense.
two of them were, yeah, I think we were, no quote me on that, but one or two of them were pretty much, down the middle. You never knew what they were going to do.
I know we had Scalia back then, so we had like his vote, but.
So the answer is definitely a rise of a third party candidate. Not yet.
No.
As long
I think
as
we're heading slowly in that direction. I think we are heading slowly in that direction. Not very fast.
I'm voting for John McAfee in 2020. Crazy libertarian. He's gonna make Bitcoin go up. Only because I have Bitcoin investments. But no, third party is not gonna happen. Never will.
No, you don't think in our lifetime?
No, I don't think so. No, it's sad, but if we need guys like Rand Paul.
Up by then?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, most likely. We need guys like Rand Paul to infiltrate the two-party system and then be the libertarian or be the whatever from the inside. That's how it needs to be done. And turn the Republican Party to more libertarian overall. And, because we're right now, to answer your question directly, what's going to happen in 2020, we keep seeing this backlash rubber band effect. So when Trump was elected, everyone on the left is so insanely outraged and upset and mad. What do you think is going to happen to the right when a Democrat gets elected? If in 2020, for example, you know what I mean? Like, how upset, how enraged are these people going to be on the right? And is the divide between half the country and the other half of the country going to heal at all? Or is it only going to become more extreme to the point where, we're going to keep doing protests in the street for every single little thing?
Maybe depending on who gets in the office. Because I would have raised hell if Hillary would have won. Because Hillary's just a crooked criminal bitch. But if you get somebody who's decent into office, maybe we can all kind of...
So it depends on the individual, you think?
I mean, that's not what I'm saying, because people are, going to be outraged regardless if your party's not in the majority. But I could get philosophical with this. But it's basically like for the good of the people. But I don't think Hillary's for the good of the people. And so if the Democrat is better for the people, then majority rules. That's kind of how it goes. But yeah.
Isn't that really what Donald Trump was supposed to be, though? Wasn't he? And they've attacked him harder than any other president. I mean, they really have. And wasn't he really supposed to be kind of a in the middle of the road president? I mean, that's kind of what I thought.
I think he really is until I think he was. I think he is in a sense too, because he was a Democrat at one point. Actually, he claimed himself to kind of be a Democrat or Democratic leaning.
Yeah.
And then he was Republican, Democrat, and I think it was all for business at the end of the day. Just kind of like what Michael Jordan said when they asked him about his political beliefs. He says Republicans buy shoes too. Has a good point by saying that, because it's he's not going to get involved in that shit.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
The whole I don't think Trump's a Republican, and I think libertarian kind of what Jeremy was touching on earlier. Republicans transforming to being libertarians. I think Republicans are supposed to kind of be libertarians. Although the whole libertarian philosophy is about having a minimal government and freedom of the people, which is also what a Republican's technically supposed to be.
Yeah, conservative, right?
Yeah, just Republican. Yeah, conservative. I guess liberal maybe on certain things, as long as it's one of those things that doesn't affect other people. And I would go back to the whole libertarian Republican line right there, to where Republicans are supposed to be 100% anti-abortion, and I am anti-abortion, but I'm just saying Republicans get that. That's what they got, and you can't have a Republican unless he's 100% anti that, and you can't have a Republican unless he is against gay marriage, and you can't have a Republican if he's not white. That's pretty much what the media paints for it, huh?
I was gonna say, we always paint me as the most conservative of our three hosts on the show, and I'm pro-gay rights, but I am entirely pro-life. I think.
Well, I think a conservative is that. Yeah, I think that's the thing though. Is like Republicans.
Right.
If you're a conservative, it doesn't mean you're a Republican, and that's just kind of how everything kind of gets painted. It definitely means you're not a Democrat. That I can tell you, it definitely means you're not a Democrat, but it doesn't mean you're a Republican.
Right. Right. Well, I stand
I'm
on
lost.
I stand on the fact that I support the right for a gay couple to protect their marijuana with an AR-15. That's where I'm at on this. That's, a gay couple should be able to protect their marijuana with an AR-15. Period. There in the middle.
Yeah. The gay thing I could care less about. I think it's gross. I don't want to like sit next to two dudes making out. But if that's what they want to do, that's what they want. Nor do I want to watch two fat heterosexual people that are making out either. I don't want to watch that either. I want to see like the guy from The Bachelor and the girl from The Bachelorette. And if that's not the two, no. But no fat people. No.
That's it.
Do you have a preference?
No flannels. No flannels.
No lumberjack love?
No lumberjack love.
I love flannels.
It's a war on men right there.
But if that's what they want to do, that's fine. Just, not while I'm trying to eat.
Why can't I quit you?
Yeah. Brokeback Mountain can't be playing on the TV at the bar either.
Oh, shit. Oh, terrible. Just terrible. No.
Well, everybody, on that note, thank you for tuning in on our Father's Day special, Degree 45 podcast. Does anyone have any final thoughts? This is like Fox News. The last word or final thoughts, anyone?
Final thoughts, huh? Let's hope we don't have to switch to at least 2024 or 2028. Let's pray for 2028 or 2032 for that matter.
3 or 4 terms.
Awesome.
I like it. Or just Republicans getting in.
I don't really care if the person's a Republican or not. I find it hard to call myself a Republican. I thought about starting my own page and calling it the Republicrat or the Republicratitarian. Just because I've got leanings on all sides. I really do. The Republicans are crooks. The Democrats are crooks. And I can't sit here and tell somebody I'm a Republican because they're fucking crooked. And same thing with the Democrats. So, what am I? A Republicratitarian, I guess. That's me. I'm an American.
I like it. Republicratitarian. That's the third party. Republicratitarian. That's what we should have called this Degree 45 Republicratitarian. We should have been the Republicratitarians.
I think that's what I'm going to start a page. Now that I've said that, someone's going to steal my fucking
No, it's ours, James.
Oh, shit.
All right. Jeremy, Danielle, anything?
My final thought would be if you have a child, don't put a helmet on him so he can grow up to be a man. Don't coddle him. Let him experience the world and fail.
Right on.
Maybe break his head on a tree.
Maybe. He's got to have some scars.
No, that was kind of morbid.
I was going to say. Well, I mean,
oh God, that was a throwback to the Chinese thing. Jesus, that is a little morbid.
Yeah, I know, right? What appendage? What's your final thought there, Danielle?
The Chinese had the most casualties in World War II, not the Japanese. Fun fact that we had earlier in the show. That's it for me.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting fact. The Chinese don't get anything. I mean, they were big in Gran Torino, if you've seen that. Actually, no, it was Koreans. I think those were Koreans. All right, guys. Well, we're done. 45 podcast. Happy Father's Day to everyone, Koreans alike.
Thanks for having me, guys.
See ya.